fucking old stupid sword. Scabbard. Hi, greetings. Hi, I'm Braggy, and I am a Viking. And today I'm here to tell you the story of when Thor went fishing for the world serpent, Jormungandr. Oh yes. Now many years ago, in the land of Asgard, in the times of the Viking gods, when men were men, and the gods were gods, and the gods would play with such creatures like us, there lived a Viking god called Thor, or Thunar to the Anglo-Saxons. And one day, Thor decided to go out on an adventure. But this time he dressed and looked like a young man. He was in disguise. And so he went off to go and meet a giant called Slim. And so for days and days he walked until he got to the place on the coast where this giant had a great hall. The biggest of all the halls I have ever seen, I've been heard and told about. And the giant Thrym, he invited Thor in, but he did not know it was Thor. He thought it was just some common man looking for adventure. And so the giant gave him, this man Thor, hospitality, a good meal, all the luxury meats you could imagine, and meads and wines at the long table next to the hearth in the long hall. And that night they ate woe, and they drank woe, and the poets spoke poetry of magic words, and singers sang their songs. Songs we will never know and hear, for we are mere mortals in this world of gods. And so, indeed, Thor wanted to go fishing, but the giant Thrym, a mighty giant, he had the most ugliest nose you have ever seen, and he had the most biggest head to go with that nose. And Thor get to say, you know, you're going to take me fishing tomorrow. I want to go fishing with a man like you, a giant like you, would take me fishing. And so, after hours and hours of Thor going on at the giant decided to do so. And so the very next day, Thor and the giant Thrym, they went out to go fishing. But first of all, they needed some line and some hooks. And luckily the giant had a shed with all these tied up on the wall. But there was no bait about, for the bait had run dry. But Thor, being Thor, soon saw in the distance in a field in a stone enclosure a load of cattle, leagues high, the biggest oxen you have ever seen in your life. And so you got to the biggest oxen of them all, and he, with one mighty blow of Mjolnir, he knocked off the cow's head. And then he got it on a hook, and both Thor, who was in disguise, don't forget, and the giant Thrym went out rowing in the long boat, the long ship, until they came to the place, and the lines were put down into the ocean. Oh yes, and for hours they fished and got some lovely fish. But it wasn't big enough for Thor. Thor wanted bigger and better, better targets to go and fish at. And he said, you must know somewhere better than this. For these fish we catch today are nothing but small minnows in the ocean of vastness. And so the giant agreed and rowed to another place. And again they put down the lines with the many hooks. And this time Thor caught something very large. In fact, the giant was very worried because it was such a large fish he had caught. He could not put him on the boat, and Thor kept on holding the fish up. But as we know, it was not the fish, for it was indeed the world serpent that is wrapped around the worlds. And Thor kept on pulling it up until he got the head on board. And just then Thor was about to grab his hammer, and with Mjolnir, and there are many ways of pronouncing it, Mjolnir, with this hammer, he went to go and strike the world serpent. Jormungandr head off. But the giant was too quick. He cut the line and the serpent disappeared back into the deep, deep ocean. And Thor lost his prey and very quickly was angry and got his fist and smacked the giant in the face. And the giant went flying leagues away. And Thor had to row back in the boat on his own. The end of the story, but not the end of Jormungandr, and certainly not Thor's last encounter. Some say in the myths that yes, the creature was killed by Thor, but I believe not. I believe it was released, but that we'll never know. If you've enjoyed this story, do two things for me: share the video and give us a like. As I try to get down from this stump, I'm stumped for getting down from here. Ah! If you like that, and if you do like that story, then please share, and I'll try to tell some more Thor stories in the future. And this is my quick rendition of this famous fishing story, and it does remind me of the fishing stories of when we got out fishing for mermaid and merfolk have been caught. Oh yes, and the other day I told a story, they had the same kind of a theme of a man who caught a merman. But what happens after that, you'll have to watch. So as I finish this video, leave us a comment. Vikings rule!